following program is from NET, the National Educational Television Network.
I'm an American, and whether I like what's going on here or not, that's what I am. And my identity is with America and its beautiful ways of life and with its painful ways of life.
I want an opportunity to develop, to express myself, to move about this country as I choose, as I see fit. I don't want a helping hand. I feel that if I'm allowed freedom of expression, freedom of movement, I won't need any help. I can help myself.
As a Negro, I have honestly tried to believe that I was somebody, and I've always fought during my life to keep that feeling that I did have some value. And I say value knowing what that word means. And there's been many a night in my life when I went to sleep and known very deep inside me that I really wasn't worth much.
More and more, our youngsters are beginning to not be apologetic for their racial background, not be apologetic for their color, and it'll be many years before this thing is completely erased, but I think we are beginning to head in that direction.
Well, I tell you, like I say so many times, if you are a Negro in this nation, you are catching hell. That's a generalism, you know. It's a generalization. It's too simple. But when you were born black in this country, you got troubles. And we haven't begun to scratch the surface. There are just so many built-in ways by which the Negro is disfranchised.
You know, any white doorman can make any Negro, no matter how educated he supposedly is, feel like trash. Just by coming up to him, you know, asking what business he has in the building, if the building is a little too nice for him to be in. I mean, no matter how stupid the white man, no matter how stupid the person, you know what he's thinking. And you feel subconscious about it. You can't help it. And you feel like punching them one. That's what. You can't go through your whole life feeling like you want to punch everybody out the street.
Negro, he doesn't know really he really doesn't have anything to lean on. He doesn't know what he really is because he's been taken away from what he should be. And so he's forced between something and something that's not.
Some people, the white feels that you have a television, you have a car, you have this, you live as good. But they don't seem to realize what we do to get these things.
But the day when we become Americans, all Americans, we don't, the day when we don't no longer speak of the Irish, the Italians, the Jewish, the Negro, etc., that we only refer to ourselves as Americans. And when that day comes, I think truly America will be a great nation and that the equality for all Americans will be a reality.
There has been a real change in the self-image of the Negro in the past 5 years. It's a remarkable thing. It's a very encouraging sign. It's sort of a tenuous thing, but there was a realization that the darker people of the world are going to make a more positive contribution to world culture, and take a much more active part and a voice in how things are going to be politically, socially, economic. And this has reflected in the life of the country. There's a positive tone that things will be better, that we will be able to get better jobs, that there will be breaks in many areas. The Negro, in a way, though, he's in part cynical. He's seen this happen before, and he sits back and sees and asks himself, now, how long will this last? He has lived through too many of these developments to ever put his final hope in these things. It's sort of an inner well of strength that makes him, having faced so much deprivation and hardship over the centuries, to be able to look at these things philosophically and say, well, we hope it's going to last, but if it doesn't, we have known hard times.
This is the real revolution that's taking place in this country today. It is the image that the Negro has of himself today. This is the revolution, sort of an internalized revolution, but nevertheless, it is a revolution in the sense that this is the image that the Negro now has of himself, that he does have roots, that his beginnings didn't begin, it didn't begin in some master's plantation in Pork Knuckles, Georgia, or Hang'em Creek, South Carolina. But it began centuries and centuries even before the white man climbed out of the cave.
I feel that the Negro has to learn to respect himself as being a Negro. Then he can be or get involved with what he wants to do. Now, it's necessary for him to accept himself and respect himself, where the society has taught him that he is not a respected part of society. He is not a unit in the society. The Negro painter, I feel, has to be free of the yoke in order to create freely. And as long as the yoke is there, it's difficult for him to be that strongly creative. It's always this lump in the stomach that he can't possibly, or it's difficult for him to digest his food, or difficult for him to create what he wants to create. And so there is always this little feeling that he has denied his race if he doesn't make some contribution to it.
And I'm producing Alice Childress's new play, Wedding Band. We are now getting started raising the money, which is why we're all here. I think that's all, and I hope you all like it very much.
That's the only kind of love they want from us.
It's wrong to hate.
And it's wrong to love, too.
We got to be good, got to be 3 times as good, just to make
Why? When they mistreat us, who cares? When we mistreat each other, who cares? Why we got to be so good for them?
Turn you, Julia Augustine, you hard-headed thing, 'cause they'll kill us if we not.
They doing it anyway. Last night I woke up thinking of all of my people that's been lynched. I dreamed that all the dead black men gathered together in spirit at the foot of my bed, standing in the corners of my room, quietly waiting for something. I've always been afraid of dead people, though I know they can't do any harm. I wish they could fight back. Oh, that awful silence. The lynched dead men gathered in spirit at the foot of my bed. I got up from my troubled sleep. Who's there? Only the shadows flickering on my wall. Oh, Lula, for what these white people have done to us, all they want in return is to be loved with a greenly love. If you're not greenly, God save you.
sport. Sport is a good thing for all children, because that learns them to cooperate with others and be a good loser. You don't have to be a winner all the time. Be a good loser, too. That's one of the best things in the world, be a good loser. In life, a Negro is a loser when he was born. I figure you have to take the bitter to sweet. And when you're being a loser, you know what bitter is. And then you got to go forward to see what the sweetness is.
Every child should be made to feel proud of himself, for himself, from the beginning, from the start. You are great, your horizon is limitless, you know, your mind is a wonderful thing. You can do anything in the world. This is the heritage, you know, that a child needs.
Our students in high school and elementary grades can read through a history book and never realize that the Negro has played any part. This is the terrible actual distortion of the history of the country. When we really study carefully the history of the United States, we find that the Negro has been part of every phase of our development. He came over with Columbus. The pilot on Columbus's ship was a Negro. This is such an elementary fact, but something which would help the Negro child in his image, as it is done for every other ethnic group which has made up the history of the country. But it's as an integral part, not as a special or a chosen people, but as an integral part. And when he was given an opportunity, he made a positive, productive contribution to the history of the country, every place.
We have, in the last 100 years, been investigating the customs of the white people. None of it really fits us, then it's only natural that we have to look back into our own tradition. We find that after 300 years of being trained as Europeans or as Western people, after we got our freedom, what should naturally have happened? When you free a man who has had all of his traditions and customs taken away from him, what is the natural thing to happen? The natural thing is to restore to him everything that he had before. Not one thing do we have to show. Not one institution do we have to show for all the millions of dollars that have been spent in the 100 years since 1695. We don't have one African institution in this country except this ramshackle Yoruba temple. Shango, god of lightning and thunder. Shango is the god of the gay blades and the loud mouth. His colors are red and white. Obatala is the father of the gods, and Shango is the king of the gods. Shango is a hard ruler. He's a loud ruler. Shango brings problems on himself.
not say that we as American Negroes do not have an African heritage, but that's so clouded for us. Meaning us as Negroes, or at least it's clouded to me. I don't know what boat my great-great-great-grandfather came over on. I don't know what section of Africa he came out of. I don't know what tribal language he had. I don't even know what plantation he first hit. So it's difficult for me to really trace back my ancestry that far. And I believe that with the American Negro, we have been striving not so much to retain or to hold on to the glories of the past because we knew of no glories, but to achieve and strive for glories of the future.
The little cup will keep. You ought to try God sometime. With Jesus. Whatever your problem may be, the little cup will fix it for you, just like he did for me. Let me tell you what to do. Get away, get on your knees, and tell him, please, Lord, and I know he'll make it all right. He'll make it all right.
And there you heard that very nice group, the Dixie Hummingbirds, out of Philadelphia. You know, so many of us are living in the kind of places where we aren't happy. We're paying a lot of rent, children have nowhere to play, and there are all kinds of dangers. Now, wouldn't it be ever so much better if you were living in the suburbs of Queens, some of the nicer communities, and if I told you that you could get a place for as little as $785 down on a GI mortgage, or even 10% down on a conventional mortgage, I bet you'd jump at it, wouldn't you? Make your move toward living the way you want to live in your own home in the suburbs. Good idea? Good idea.
As a Negro, I don't think I want anything more than almost any other human being would want. I want to have dignity. I want to be useful. I want to function. the limits of my ability.
We all want to live decently, you know? But I feel I just can't make that. I don't know. I just can't make that. And I've tried, and I've been knocked around, pushed around, talked around all my life. But I have seen progress. I feel there is some progress.